I don't know when it started, the distance, the silence, the sense that I was living beside her instead of with her. It's strange how betrayal doesn't always walk through the E. Door was screaming, slamming, or tears. Sometimes it's soft, quiet, the way she stopped kissing me goodnight, the way her phone never left her side anymore, the way she smiled at texts I never sent. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But I convinced myself I was paranoid, insecure. That's what love does, doesn't it? It makes you swallow your instincts and replace them with trust, even when the truth is clawing at your insides, screaming to be heard. It started on a Tuesday, or maybe the Tuesday is just when I could know. Longer ignore it. She was humming. That's what really triggered me, you'd think. I'd have known by something obvious, a lipstick mark on a collar, a stranger's scent on her skin, the accidental text. But no, it was the humming. I came home late from work, exhausted, my head pounding from back-to-back meetings. And there she was, dancing around the kitchen, barefoot, wine in hand, humming some tune I didn't recognize. She didn't even hear me come in at first, just twirled once, laughing to herself. That laugh used to belong to us, to our inside jokes, our memories now. It sounded borrowed. "Hey," I said, setting my keys on the counter. Jolted slightly, turning too quickly, her wine sloshing. "Oh," she said, breathless. "You're home early." It was 8 p.m. I gave her a small smile. "Yeah, early." She kissed my cheek, her lips cool, like politeness instead of passion, and went right back to stirring the sauce like nothing was off. But everything was off. She never cooked anymore, especially not like this. A course meal, candlelight. Jazz playing in the background. It felt ... scripted. We'd been married 9 years. I knew her routines, her moods. I knew how her laughter changed when she was genuinely happy versus when she was trying to pretend. I knew the pauses in her speech, the deflection in her eyes, and I knew, even then, something was wrong. That night, she made love to me for the first time in nearly a month. Passionate, urgent, too urgent. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt like a stand-in. That was the night I decided to check her phone. I didn't do it right away. I waited. Days, maybe. Long enough for guilt to chew at me. Long enough to hope I was imagining it. But hope has limits. When she finally fell asleep with her phone on the nightstand, not tucked under a pillow or gripped in her hand, I stared at it for what felt like hours. My fingers trembled as I reached for it. The passcode was the same. That almost made me cry. And there they were. The messages. His name was Dylan. I didn't know what Dylan, at least. Not one she should be calling baby or sending photos. 2 photos. She never took from me. The text stretched back months. "I miss you already. Last night was amazing. Still smell like you. Does he suspect anything?" "No. He never even looks at my phone. Trusts me too much." That one hurt the most. I put the phone down, walked to the bathroom, locked the door, just sat on the cold tile floor, letting the weight of it all crush me. She didn't just cheat. She trusted that I wouldn't know. She believed in my ignorance. More than she believed in our marriage. How do you process something like that? How do you sleep beside someone who's betraying you with such confidence? I didn't confront her, not right away. I don't know why. Maybe I was a coward. Maybe I wanted to pretend just a little longer. Maybe I needed to plan something. Something. That wouldn't let her rewrite the story. Wouldn't let her paint me as the villain for once. That's when the idea started forming. Twisted, bitter, cruel maybe. But I needed her to feel everything I felt: shame, guilt, confusion, pain. Our anniversary was coming up. 10 years. A milestone. She'd already started hinting at a trip somewhere quiet, she said. Somewhere just the two of us. How ironic instead. I made dinner reservations. A fancy place downtown. One she'd been dying to go to but never got a reservation for. I pulled strings, called in favors, got a table. Then I texted Dylan. I used her phone, waited until she was in the shower, covered in steam and shampoo, humming again like nothing was wrong, and I sent him the message, "Can you meet me on the 10th? I'll be at DeLuca's at 7. Come alone." I watched the bubbles pop up almost immediately. "Seriously? You're ready to be seen in public with me?" "Yes. We'll talk more there, please." Come, he sent a heart. I nearly threw the phone across the room, but I didn't. I smiled, tight, joyless smile, and then I began planning. She wore red that night, the same red dress she wore on our honeymoon dinner in Santorini, back when everything was new and innocent and full of hope. You look beautiful, I told her, helping her with her necklace. My fingers lingered at her neck a moment longer than they needed to. She smiled, kissed my cheek. You clean up well too? She teased. We arrived at DeLuca's just before 7, told her I needed to use the restroom, left her at the table, and texted Dylan from my own phone this time. Table 14. Ask for her by name. She's expecting you. Then I walked out. I didn't leave the restaurant. Just stood near the valet, heart pounding, watching the front doors. He showed up 10 minutes later, younger than me. Maybe 30. Cocky walk, confident smirk. He adjusted his collar as he stepped inside like he belonged. I watched the hostess smile at him, nod, and point. He made his way across the floor right to her. From where I stood, couldn't see her face, just her posture. She leaned back as he approached. Confused, tilted her head. Then horror. It washed over her like a wave slow, complete, unmistakable. I saw her mouth the word, "What?" Saw Dylan glance around, puzzled, probably looking for me. I left before he sat down. I didn't need to see more. I drove home in silence. No music, no thoughts, just this strange, hollow stillness inside me. I imagined the conversation between them, her panic, its confusion, the realization that they'd been set up, that I had known all along. I waited for the call, or the text, or maybe her to come storming through the door. Nothing. Hours passed, and when she finally walked in, shoes in her hand, mascara smudged, I just sat there on the couch. Whiskey in hand, she opened her mouth to speak. I raised a hand. "Don't," I said. She froze. "I know. I've known for weeks." She looked like she might collapse. Her mouth trembled, but no words came out. I stood up, walked past her, paused at the stairs. "You hum when you're in love," I said without turning around. "You used to hum around. Me, you stopped a long time ago." Then I climbed the stairs. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I just sat on the edge of the bed, wondering when exactly I lost her, and if she was ever really mine at all. She didn't come to bed that night. I heard her downstairs moving things around. Yeah, maybe pacing, maybe crying, though I couldn't be sure. I didn't go to check. For the first time in 10 years, I didn't want to know what she was feeling. It was strange. There was no screaming, no confrontation, no messy, dramatic explosion, just silence. Thick, suffocating silence. I lay there staring at the ceiling for hours, the darkness pressing in on me, my mind running back through every moment of our marriage, wondering which ones were real, which ones were a lie. When did she stop loving me? Was it after the miscarriage? I remember that time like a distant nightmare, her curled up on the bathroom floor, bleeding, shaking, barely breathing, and me, helpless, useless, just holding her and whispering that it would be okay, even when I knew it wouldn't. We drifted after that. I know we did. We stopped talking about the future. We stopped trying, but I thought that was just grief, a temporary scar. Apparently not. She was already at the table when I came down the next morning. 2 mugs of coffee. 1 black mine. 1. With that stupid cinnamon creamer she loved, her eyes were red-rimmed. She hadn't slept either. "I deserve whatever you want to say," she whispered. I didn't sit. I don't want to say anything. "I've said it all already in 1,000 different ways you chose to ignore." She flinched. She started, then stopped. "You chose this," I continued. "Every time you texted him, every time you lied, every time you looked me in the eye and pretended I was enough, you chose this." "I didn't mean to fall out of love with you," she said, her voice cracking. I laughed, sharp and cold. "You make it sound so poetic." "You didn't mean to, like it just happened. Like, you tripped and landed in his bed." Her lip trembled. "I was lonely," she whispered. I slammed my mug down, coffee splashing. I was right there, every damn day, working my ass off, coming home to you, loving you the only way I knew how, and you chose to be lonely. I'm sorry you're not. You're Sorry you got caught. She broke then. Really broke. Sobs racked her body as she covered her face with her hands. And I just stood there, watching, feeling nothing. Not anger, not pity, just emptiness. You brought him into our space, I said quietly. Into the space we built, together. And you thought I'd never notice. I didn't want to hurt you, stared at her. Then you shouldn't have slept with him. Her shoulders shook harder. I loved you, she gasped. I did. I didn't recognize us anymore. I turned away. Maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe some part of her still loved me in the way someone loves an old photograph faded, distant, no longer alive. But love isn't supposed to be this. I need time, I said, grabbing my keys. Don't follow me. Don't call me. Just don't. And I walked out. I spent the day driving. Nowhere in particular. It's just miles of empty roads and hollow thoughts. I ended up by the lake where we got engaged of all places. It used to feel magical here. The way the sunset hit the water. The way her eyes sparkled when I pulled out the ring. The way she said yes through tears. I sat there for hours, watching the sky bleed into gold, then pink, then navy blue. Everything was quiet, peaceful, deceivingly so. I kept wondering what people would think if I told them my wife cheated and I set her up. Would they call me petty, vindictive? Would they say I should have just walked away? I don't care, she humiliated me in silence. I just returned the favor with an audience. Some part of me thought that after the dust settled, I'd feel triumphant, vindicated. But I didn't. I just felt tired. And that's when I realized something. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. Wanted to understand why she did it, how we ended up here. What part of me she outgrew or resented or buried under years of routine and disappointment. I didn't need her to hurt. I needed her to explain. She was still home. When I returned, still in the same spot, it's like a statue-empty coffee cup in front of her. Hands limp in her lap. She looked up at me like a child caught stealing. I didn't sleep with him right away, she said, before I could say anything. I talked to him for months. Just talked. It started online. We were in the same forum. Commented on one of my posts about anxiety. And we just kept talking. I sat. For some reason, this part mattered. I was lonely. I told you that. But it wasn't just you. It was me. I lost myself somewhere in this marriage. Somewhere between trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect woman, and feeling like none of it mattered. I didn't speak. She went on. He made me feel seen. I didn't plan for it to become physical. I swear to you, but it did. Because I was weak. Because I wanted to feel something again. And did you? I asked. What? Did you feel something with him? She swallowed hard. Yes, but not like I used to feel with you. Not like when you'd kiss me under the covers just to make me laugh. Or when you'd hold me like I was the only thing anchoring you to earth. It wasn't love with him. It was escape. That word hit me. Escape. That's what I'd become. A prison, and what now? I asked, do you want to be with him? Shook her head violently. No. I cut him off after that night. I swear, I haven't spoken to him. I believe you, I said. But it doesn't matter. She blinked. What do you mean? It means I can't unsee it. Can't unknow. I can't pretend every moment with you doesn't come with a rewind reel of him in the background. I can fix it. No, I said gently. You can't. We sat there for a long time. No more accusations. No more defenses. Just the grief of two people who had once been everything to each other. Now sitting in the wreckage of what they'd broken. I don't hate you, I finally said. But I can't love you the same way either. That version of us died. You buried it. She cried again. I'll move out, she said. You deserve the house. It's not about the house. I know. But I need to do something. Nodded. And that was it. Not the explosive ending most stories get. No screaming. No cheating retribution. No dramatic pleas. Just quiet heartbreak. Just two people letting go of a decade of memories. That night I packed a bag. Not because I needed space, but because I needed to feel like I still had control of something. I went to my brother's place, told him the truth, didn't say much. Just poured me a drink and sat with me while we watched some mindless movie neither of us were paying attention to. "You gonna divorce her?" he asked eventually. I shrugged. "I don't know yet." "Why not?" "'Cause I'm still trying to remember where she ended and the lie began." He nodded slowly. "You ever think maybe she was both?" "What do you mean she was real and she was broken?" "She loved you and she still messed up. Both can be true." I didn't answer. I didn't want both to be true. I wanted black and white, good guy, bad guy, clean lines. But marriage isn't clean. It's messy and gray and full of wounds that never quite heal the same way twice. I didn't sleep that night either, but for the first time in weeks. I didn't feel like I was drowning. I felt like I was surfacing. The house felt different without her. Quieter, somehow heavier. Like it was holding its breath, waiting. I came back 3 days later. She was gone by then, took only a few bags. Left behind a note. I didn't read it first. I saw it on the kitchen. Counter folded neatly in half, my name in her handwriting. It's the same way she used to write it on the little love note she left in my lunchbox when we first got married. I stared at it for a long time before picking it up. Just held it between my fingers like it might burn me, then I opened it. "Ethan, I know I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness, but I need you to understand something. You didn't fail me. You never failed me. You were kind, patient, loyal. You gave me more love than I knew what to do with. The failure was meant I let the cracks grow because I didn't know how to tell you. I was drowning by the time I realized what I was doing. I'd already destroyed the very thing I wanted to protect. I never stopped loving you, not even once. I just stopped believing I deserved to be loved, and instead of telling you, I broke something sacred. I'm sorry. For the lies, the betrayal, the pain. For making you question yourself when it was always me. Take the house. The car. Everything. I don't want any of it. I only want you to find peace. You deserve that more than anyone. Love, Alyssa." Didn't cry when I read it. I just stood there, letter in hand, staring out the window at the empty street. I didn't want her apology. I didn't even know if I believed it. Because how do you separate remorse from regret, sorrow from damage, words from wounds? She said she never stopped loving me, but love doesn't sleep in another man's arms. Love doesn't let you sit across the table from your husband, smile, laugh, and lie. But maybe what we had wasn't built to last in the first place. Maybe. I held on too tightly to an ideal, and she let go too easily of a reality. I found myself walking into my bedroom. Her side of the closet was empty. Her drawer in the bathroom, too. The perfume still lingered faintly, though. That scent she always wore, jasmine and vanilla. It hit me like a ghost. So, I did the only thing I could think to do. I sat down and wrote her back. Not to forgive, but to release Alyssa. I believe you loved me. I believe you were broken. And I believe you chose the wrong way to cope with that brokenness. I don't know what our marriage was to you in the end, but to me it was a life. A home. Something I worked for every single day, even when it wasn't perfect. You took that from me. You didn't just break my heart. You made me question whether I ever had yours in the first place. But I won't carry this anger forever. It's heavy, and I'm tired, so I'm letting go. I hope you heal. I hope you figure out what parts of yourself you've been running from. And I hope the next time someone offers you love, you treat it like the rare thing it is. Ethan and I didn't send it. I didn't need to. Writing it was enough. Weeks passed. I kept waking up thinking I heard her voice. Sometimes in the shower, sometimes in the kitchen. The memory of her became a habit I had to unlearn. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was loud, echoing. Everything in the house reminded me of her. Her book still sat on the shelf, untouched. Her favorite mug in the cabinet. A bobby pin on the bathroom counter, like she'd be back any second. I boxed up her things eventually, took my time with it. Not out of spite, but out of grief. Each item felt like a chapter. A memory. A piece of the story we built together. The necklace I bought her for our 5th anniversary. The framed photo from our first road trip. The dried-out bouquet from when I proposed, still tucked in the back of the closet like a forgotten treasure. I packed them all into a box labeled Alyssa and left it in the garage. I didn't know what I'd do with it, but I couldn't throw it away. One night I got a call from Dylan. It was nearly midnight. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Ethan. Yeah, it's Dylan. I said nothing. I'm not calling to cause trouble. I didn't. Know who else to talk to? I scoffed. You thought I'd be your therapist now? No, he said quickly. God, no. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I need you to know I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I didn't. No, she was married at first. I remained silent. She didn't tell me until weeks in. By then, I was already hooked. And even when I found out, I still stayed. That's on me. I know that. Why are you really calling? He sighed. She cut me off. After that dinner, blocked me everywhere. I've tried to move on, but I can't stop thinking about her. You're in love with her. Yeah. And you're hoping I'll tell you where she is. He didn't answer. I laughed bitterly. You helped blow up my marriage, Dylan, and now you want my blessing? No, he said. I want closure. Then go write yourself a letter. That's how I handled mine. I hung up, blocked his number, and then I sat there, phone in hand, heart racing, angry all over again. Not at him, at her, because she had the nerve to say she never loved him, that it was just escape. He meant nothing, but he still cared, and that told me everything I needed to know. A month passed, then 2. Divorce papers sat on my dining table for weeks, unsigned, unsent. I didn't know what I was waiting for. Some days I imagined her walking back in, saying she'd changed, that she wanted to try again, that we could rebuild. Other days I imagined her with someone else, happy, smiling, humming again. Both versions hurt, in the end. I signed the papers in silence, put them in an envelope, sealed the last 10 years of my life with a pen and a stamp. She never responded. Not with a call, not with a visit. Just sent her signature back a week later, with a single post-it note attached. Thank you for giving me more grace than I deserved. I went back to DeLuca's on what would have been our anniversary, not to relive it, to reclaim it. I sat at the same table, ordered the same wine. The hostess recognized me, gave me a curious look, but said nothing. I looked around at the other couples, laughing, toasting, leaning close across their candlelit tables. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was free for the first time. In years, I wasn't clinging to someone who didn't want to be held. I paid the bill, left a generous tip, walked out into the cool evening air with no plan, no destination, just an open road ahead. I didn't know where life would take me next, but I knew one thing for sure. The worst was over. The rest? Oh, it's mine too, right? Healing isn't linear. That's what people always say. I used to think it was a cliche, something therapists and well-meaning friends said to soften the fall. But it's true. Some mornings I woke up and felt like I could finally breathe again. Whole, almost new. Other days her memory wrapped around me like fog, dulling the edges of everything. I'd hear her laugh in a coffee shop, only to turn and find it belonged to someone else. I'd catch the scent of jasmine in a passing crowd and feel like I was being ripped open all over again. But time does something. Doesn't erase. Not really. It just makes the sharp edges less violent. It was 3 months after the divorce that I started going to therapy, not because I wanted to move on, whatever. That meant because I needed to understand myself outside of her. I had built so much of my identity around our marriage that once it was gone, I didn't know who I was without it. I don't know if I ever loved myself in that marriage. Told my therapist during our second session. She tilted her head. Why do you think that is? Because I let myself be invisible, I said. I gave and gave, thinking that if I just did enough, was enough, she'd never want to leave. And when she started drifting, I blamed myself. And now I think I know I deserved more than what I got, she smiled. That's a good place to start. First time I saw Alyssa again, it was at the grocery store. She looked different, softer maybe. Hair pulled back, no makeup. She was standing in the produce aisle, staring blankly at a pile of oranges like they might give her answers. She didn't notice me at first, but I saw the exact moment she did. Her shoulders stiffened, her breath caught. "Hey," she said. Cautiously, "Hey." Silence. "How have you been?" she asked, her voice small. "Better," I said honestly. "You?" She nodded, trying. One day at a time. There was no hostility between us. No tension, surprisingly. Just the kind of quiet that comes after a storm has passed, and all that's left is cleanup. We stood there awkwardly, as two people who once shared everything now reduced to strangers making small talk near the apples. "I got your letter," she said after a moment. I nodded. I figured, thank you for not tearing me apart in it. I looked at her, then really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see the woman who broke me. I saw a woman broken in her own way, carrying regrets she would probably never fully outrun. "You did a good enough job of tearing yourself apart," I said quietly. I didn't need to add to it. She smiled faintly. "I still hum, you know. It stopped me," she continued. "I don't even notice it. I'll be doing laundry or driving, and suddenly I'm humming again. I used to think it meant I was happy. But now, I think it just means I'm trying." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just gave a slight nod. She looked like she wanted to say more, but instead, she just stepped around me, leaving behind the scent of jasmine and the ghost of a life that no longer belonged to me. I didn't watch her go. A year passed. I changed jobs, moved to a smaller apartment downtown, started cooking again. It's not the rushed, survival-type cooking I did during the breakdown, but slow, intentional. Meals. I rediscovered things I loved reading before bed. Long walks, photography. I started hiking on weekends. I got a dog. Her name's Daisy. She's a mutt with one ear that won't stand up straight, and she snores like a chainsaw. But she's mine, and somehow, she made the house feel less empty. I started dating again, too. Hesitantly, carefully. The first few dates were awkward. I'd find myself comparing everything: the way they laughed, the way they touched my arm, the way they looked at me when I talked about my past. I carried the weight of what happened like a shield, always wondering when the other shoe would drop. But then I met Lena. And Lena, she was different. She didn't ask for too much too quickly. She didn't pry or try to fix me. She just listened, laughed at my terrible jokes, asked about my favorite books, told me about her garden and her grief and the way she almost married someone she didn't love because she was scared of being alone. There was something honest about her, something unflinchingly human. One night, after a few glasses of wine and a slow walk through the park, she asked me the question I'd been avoiding. "What happened with your ex?" I hesitated. Then I told her everything. Not just the betrayal, but the unraveling, the silence, the shame, the dinner. She didn't flinch. When I finished, she just said, "That must have hurt like hell." I nodded. It did. "Do you still love her?" It caught me off guard. I thought about all the memories, the pain, the warmth that used to live inside us. "No," I said finally. "I love who I thought she was, but not who she really became." She reached out and took my hand. That's the bravest thing I've ever heard someone say. Sometimes I still think about that night at DeLuca's, the red dress, the empty chair, Dylan's face when he realized what was happening. I don't regret it. I needed her to feel the fracture. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted her to know that I saw her, that I wasn't blind or weak. Her lies didn't go unnoticed. But more than that, I needed me to know that I could stand up for myself. I wasn't just some guy who got cheated on. I was someone who endured, who survived, who rebuilt. Alyssa never reached out again after that grocery store run-in. I don't know where she is now. Maybe in a new city, maybe alone, maybe in love again. I don't wish her harm. I don't wish her happiness either. I wish her honesty. I hope she finds the parts of herself she lost along the way. I hope she learns how to hold love without breaking. It is for me. I'm okay. I still flinch when I hear certain songs. Still double-check texts that sound too sweet. Still guard my heart with more caution than I used to, but I'm living again. Fully, authentically, on my own terms. And that feels like victory. Final note, if you've ever been betrayed, led to, made to feel invisible, please know this. You are not the wound they left behind. You are the healing that followed, and you have the power to write a story that is yours. Alone, no longer shaped by the ones who didn't know how to hold you, even if they wore a red dress and smiled with lips full of lies. Even if you once loved them with everything you had, let go. Let yourself begin again.